The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
We're back.
We are with a brand new.
We are. Oh, indeed. Yo, everybody! It's been a while.
Bonjour.
Hello,
well,
everyone.
no, we were literally here just before Christmas, so it's not
still a
been
while.
long. Although
No,
before that,
show.
It was about 3 months ago.
Yeah, a proper. Well, yeah, the non-wrestling topic is dated in October,
Yeah.
so that show. I had to double check that because I was like, "Is that right?"
And behind the scenes, I actually messaged Sai yesterday and said, "Why are people, namely Graham and Connor, replying to a topic from months ago?" And he said, "That was the last time we actually did a show." I was like, Jesus Christ.
It's mad, isn't it?
Lucky people, a 3-month break away from us.
Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah, we'll get into that shortly, shall we? About why we've been away and what's been going on and all that sort of good stuff. But it is lovely to be back, Magsy. It has been a little while. We are picking up where we left off. The Christmas special, as we mentioned on the night, was very much a step away from the chain for the evening and sort of non-canon. Yeah. Is that what you called it, Mags?
Yeah, it was kind of like a Saudi Arabia show. You can enjoy it on its own, but it has no effect on the main show.
I've got something to mention about Saudi Arabia shows in a bit.
Obviously, oil money and killing people in Turkish consulates and things like that.
But again, another difference to a Saudi Arabia show. If you want to see skin and nipples here, by all means, you will do.
I mean, you have to pay extra, but it is what it is.
Yes, it has been a little while, but we are picking up where we left off from the chain. So tonight's match was already decided by your votes in the CWF back in October. So we'll be carrying on with that. And obviously the non-wrestling topic, we had responses from October and we had responses when we shared it again this week after we said we're going live again this week and we're going to continue being live most Monday nights, I would imagine, going forward. But that is the plan, Mags, isn't it? Carrying on from where we left off.
It is, yeah, because that's the whole point of the show, that you can link each episode all the way back to the beginning.
It is indeed, mate. It is indeed. On that note, see if I can remember this. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Sorry, see if I can remember it. I've got it written out just in case.
Let's put it straight away.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live, an SJP World Media production, episode 167. I am Sai, and with me, as always, is the Macho Man. To my Slate Man, I have very bad posture. Oh, bit rough that rhyme. That didn't quite work, did it? You having that one?
I don't think any of yours actually ever really worked, though, to be fair.
Do they not? Okay, what about this one? What about this one? The Bret Hart to my tomorrow's wet fart because I'm drinking ale. So that works. You're having that one, Mags.
It's tenuous, but yeah, the
Uh,
words
yeah.
rhyme.
There we go. A podcaster who, after 160 plus episodes of the show, still doesn't answer his fucking messages in the build up to a live show. So I have no idea what we're doing until 2 minutes before we press the button. Lord Mags, I've missed you, mate. How are you?
I'm okay. And there was a perfectly adequate reason why I missed your message. I told you I have not had a minute to myself today. It's just been go, go, go. One thing that went on, I'll get to in a segment later on, but basically, we've been doing some renovating in the house. And this morning was the only time that we could get a skip delivered to get rid of all the junk. So I had all that to deal with. Plus, it also snowed at least a good 6 inches. So that was fun, having to fit a load of junk into a skip whilst also ice skating across the driveway. So, yeah, I've been very, very busy, sir. So apologies for not replying, but it is what it is, sir.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Whatever. I like the snow. But I don't like what it leaves behind. The mushy, wet, slippery shit. That's a nonsense, that is. That gets on my nerves, but...
Yeah, the sludge and the sleet and all that crap.
Yeah, when it gets dangerous and all that sort of stuff, that's not fun at all. That's not fun at all. But there we go. As always, Magsy, we are joined by a couple of people in the chat already. And for those of you watching on the SJP World Media X channel, the former Twitter channel, you can comment. We don't always get the comments showing up straight away in our live chat here. So the live chat is available on YouTube as well. So by all means, go and join us on YouTube. Join in with the rest of the people who watch the show every week.
Absolutely.
There we go. So,
well,
scan.
Benny Max, the first chat coming through from X, and he says, "Ale on a Monday."
Celebrating, mate. Celebrating.
So anyway, we've got a couple of quick messages here. We've got obviously the First Lady of the CWF, First Lady of the SJP World Media Network. It's Sharon, and she says it's Monday night. You know what that means, and we certainly do.
Oh, yes.
It's time for us to talk bollocks for a couple of hours whilst you guys mock us incessantly. King Pig Banners, hello, sir. How are you? It's, we've missed you around these parts,
we have indeed.
We thank you for the amazing graphics as always. Although I'm not quite happy that I was made into Bret Hart, because I don't really like being the mid-card wrestlers of the bunch. I would have much preferred to be Randy Savage, but thank you all the same. Well, someone here who may potentially become the star of this week's episode, Connor, says, "Hello, you handsome guys. Currently watching the Italian Super Cup final, which is coincidentally taking place in Saudi Arabia, because that's Italy.
Why not? Yeah. Bloody hell.
Just outskirts of Italy. Only watching because Pulisic is playing and he's wearing his Pulisic shirt. Well, I hope you enjoy it. You may not enjoy later on, but we'll get there. Then we've got Matt Willis doing an X comment here, and he says, and you can always watch on VOD Squad. Oh, we've been through this. VOD Squad is not a thing. Just because you do it on your Xbox 120 doesn't make it real. Steve O, aka Defco Dashcam, and I got that right. Defco Dashcam.
Indeed.
Says, welcome back. Thank you very much. Benny says, Mags screwed Mags. No, Pig's bladders screwed Mags. That's what happened. Pig's bladders. Pigs McMahon screwed Mags. And then to cover up, Pig Bladders says Savage and Sabi were more of a match, much easier to swap. So laziness.
There you go, mate. There you go. Works for me.
Oh, and then I get another bollocking, and I am always doing this because I've got the memory like a sieve. I apologise, Matt Lewis. And also, how is Chris? I haven't heard from him for quite a while.
No, that's true. Yeah, he pops in the chat. Well, I used to pop in the chat occasionally, or we'd see him on Twitter and so on of his own shows. And that, isn't he? How's he getting on, Matt? Let us know. Is he still making shows? Is he doing okay?
it's hard work that Willis and Lewis are so close as well, and like to say. But yeah, apologies, Matt, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, there we go.
Anyway,
There we go then. So, Maxie, we've been away for a little while. Obviously, there's been various reasons. We explained some of them on the Christmas show, of course. I was ill. I think you've been poorly as well. Standard Monday coughing that you're doing there, for example. And then, obviously, work and other situations got in the way. And then before we knew it, it was virtually Christmas. And we normally take a week off around Christmas anyway, at least one. So we decided to leave it up to... Well, now to come back, didn't we? Obviously, you picked the date to come back, completely out of the blue, surprise to me. And but yeah, this is the date we decided to come back properly. But that explains why we've been away for a while. Real life does have a habit of getting in the way, which does mean that I'm probably going to struggle a little bit to remember exactly what it is we do on a Monday night, because we all know how my mind works.
That's fair, but in saying that, you struggle remembering what we do on a Monday night, even if we've done the previous Monday night. So we forgive your idiocy.
I used to have a file saved on my laptop, and it was just simply called Chain Wrestling Live Format. And then it would literally give me the run list of what we did on the show. And even after like 100 episodes, I was checking that to say, right, what's next? Okay, I can do, But I deleted it. I've never remade it. And I just kind of wing it, I suppose.
Whereas I have winged it from episode 1, and I will continue to do so.
There we go. So what is next, Max? What are we doing now?
So next, according to the video list, should have probably been the CWF tournament. But Si and I both forgot that was a thing. So that will be returning next week.
Indeed.
But for this week, I believe you have a Hall of Fame/Lame.
Yeah, a little bit of one, mate.
Which one? So I know which button to press.
Lame.
Oh, shit. That's this one.
The Hall of
Okie dokie then. This is a bit of it was difficult for me to decide, is this a proper Hall of Lame? Because there is a bit of a positive I want us to talk about at the beginning. But at the same time, it's more so not necessarily the action I'm discussing. It's more so the reasoning. People on Twitter, I suppose, given a reason for something that I'm going to bring up now, Magsy, and how just fucking stupid wrestling fans can be sometimes. Everyone will be aware, I'm assuming, being wrestling fans and so on, that now we're into January, the WWE Network has closed. I think this is a huge loss to wrestling fans in this country and anywhere else that could access it. For $9.99, obviously, very famously, and they even made a fucking t-shirt out of it that said $9.99 at one stage. You got access to so much. The pay-per-views included, all the back catalogues of all these different wrestling companies, so much there. It was unbelievable, Max, wasn't it? A wonderful, wonderful tool. Mm-hmm. The price never went up, which amazes me, because they could have quite easily bumped that up a couple of quid and made an extra few million every month. Never went up. And I think as a wrestling fan who has been following this crazy entertainment form that we call pro wrestling for, what would it be now, 30 plus years, this is probably the biggest game-changing device we've had in the wrestling business in my lifetime. I mean, pay-per-view was obviously, I was on this planet, it was during my lifetime, but my lifetime as a wrestling fan, pay-per-view came around a little bit too early for me to have lived through the invent of it. Yeah. This was the biggest game changer I think we've had, and now it's gone, and I think that's an absolute shame. The positive is, of course, for the UK viewers, Netflix is picking up the WWE. I'll say network. I'll say some of the network. So we have already numerous pay-per-views up on there, numerous old episodes of Raw and SmackDown, but there are stacks of old shows and so on, documentaries up there already. And again, already we have thumbnails up there with coming in February, coming in April, coming in March, whatever, showing more content is being added. However, the big issue I have with this, being a wrestling fan who is into the pro wrestling that I'm into, this is all WWE content or former WWF content. I'm not going to get into whether I think that is right or wrong, I'm not going to get into whether I think that's the way it should be, because that's a whole different podcast. I appreciate that they probably don't make masses of money or have loads of subscribers just for people who want to watch WCW or just for people who want to watch old Mid-South. I get all that. It's a different conversation for a different time. My issue is when WWE, I don't know how you'd word it, WWE super fans, or those on Twitter that are really tribal about which company they like, and they go over the top and they are really, really excessive with and they'll defend anything. Those kind of idiots. I want to just call out
AEW sexuals or WWE.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. And there's people on Twitter and so on who are defending what the WWE is putting on Netflix, or Netflix and WWE have agreed to put on there, and saying that this is all they can do at the moment because of the allocation of time they have on the Netflix servers, or the allocation of space, or they can't upload everything because it's such a vast amount of footage, a vast amount of the tape libraries, the video libraries, I suppose, are so huge that they can't put everything up because there's not enough room and all this sort of stuff. And it's just nonsense, Mags. It's just absolute fucking nonsense. I appreciate that there may be a little bit of leeway in that argument, but the fact of the matter is Netflix has such vast capabilities, including live streaming now, as we're seeing with pay-per-view events, that they can pretty much do as they please. They can do a great deal more than these fans are letting on. They are just WWE nutjobs who will defend them to the hilt. And I'm going to give you an example of this, okay? Everyone knows WCW is a big thing for me. Doing the Nitro Nights podcast with Scottish Danny, and then, of course, our good friend Ranty Ben. On a little bit of a hiatus right now because we're sorting out how we're going to continue the show. But the format of the our WCW podcast on the network, Nitro Nights, is we start the first episode of Nitro, and then we watch every show WCW produced, apart from Saturday night. That was quite early stipulated with Scottish Danny. Apart from Saturday night, we were going to watch it all in order right up until it closed its doors in 2001. We've done 95, all the pay-per-views, etc., Clash of Champions. We've done the whole of 96. We're into the early months of 1997, and that's where we've had to stop for a moment whilst we're looking at alternatives. Those alternatives may come up on the WWE Vault channel. They may come up elsewhere. I've got most of it on Blu-ray now from somebody I found online. So there are options there, but the podcast, we're still looking at what we're going to do. However, I just want to point out this myth, this idiocy with the WWE stalwarts, the WWE super defenders, shall we call them, who don't apply any common sense to a situation and say there's not enough room. Okay? I had a very quick, and this was very, very quick scan through the WWE content on Netflix before we came on the show today. And I just want to point out some of the things that are on Netflix that maybe you could argue you could have space elsewhere for something different. For example, Raw and SmackDown, the Vault of Raw, the Vault of SmackDown. We have a minimal amount of episodes, starting way back in 93, 94, 96. Some years are missing altogether. Some years have only 4 or 5 episodes of Raw. I've got no issue with that being on there because younger fans going back and checking out the historic stuff that Austin did and all that, of course. But then when you get into 2002, 2003, and 2022, 23, and 24, we have 52 episodes of Raw in 22, 52 from 23, 53 from 24. And the same for SmackDown. Now, working it out to an average of 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, on average, that comes to 785 hours of content from Raws and SmackDowns in the last couple of years, which you'd imagine the majority of wrestling fans buying the Netflix would have seen. Because they're recent fans. We have 6 Crown Jewel pay-per-views, Magsy, which everyone who is a wrestling fan will acknowledge, I imagine, a fucking shite. But again, I suppose financially they have to put it. But that's 24 hours of content right there. On top of these huge amounts of Raw and SmackDown older episodes, which are such present-day efforts, it's ridiculous, we have 90 minutes to 2-hour Raw classic documentaries. Now, I thought, okay, these might be showing classic matches from years that we haven't got in the vault already. That makes sense. But it's not. It's Raw Classics, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Raw Classics, Raw Classics, Kurt Angle, and so on. Again, I can appreciate there are some great moments, but explain to me why we've got 2 hours of Lita, 2 hours of Bianca Belair. I imagine all of our matches in WWE don't come to 90 minutes. 2 hours of the New Day, as entertaining as they are. Is that really worthwhile when you can go back and watch all of their stuff on the already overloaded recent vault? We've got so many more. And it eventually, what I tallied up was 824 hours of content that I think I can understand why it's there. But at the same time, don't tell me that there's not enough space. Don't tell me there's not enough room when you have all of that content up there and not something that I would argue is more worthwhile, like historical shows from a company as important as WCW, especially in the year of 96 and 97 with the NWO and so on, which formed so much of the Attitude Era. So that is my frustration. Not necessarily Netflix itself, not necessarily the WWE themselves for the way they've done it, but the fans that defend it with fucking bullshit. That's my Hall of Lame entrant, I suppose, Mags, for this week.
So the issue is that you and the person who has got you so angry about it are looking at this as fans.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I appreciate all that.
And whilst I agree it would have been absolutely amazing, and we've been spoiled. We've been absolutely spoiled with the network. I mean, me and you were from a time when if you didn't watch a show or you didn't record it, tough tits. There was no comeback. There was no streaming. So we've been absolutely spoiled rotten with a tenner a month for all the wrestling content you could ever consume.
Much. Yeah.
But Netflix is a business. Netflix is not a wrestling fan. It is there to make money. And unfortunately, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the AWA, the CWC, things like that, aren't going to get enough people watching regularly for them to justify the not only the space on the servers, but also the bandwidth, getting them to and from people streaming. With regards to WCW, I've got a feeling that a lot of that will get uploaded eventually. Like I said, the NWO it's an entity that changed the world of wrestling. It's historically significant. But the one saving grace that we've got is that WWE are essentially loaning this content to Netflix, and in 5 years, it may be a case where the TKO group who own WWE and UFC decide that they want all their own content in-house, and we might get a kind of network 2.0. But unfortunately, it's just we are now at Netflix's beck and call for this stuff. I was looking for a potential link for next week's match, and I couldn't get it on Netflix because it was an In Your House, and I think there was only about 3 or 4 of the In Your House has been uploaded.
What is there?
Yeah. So hopefully there'll be enough people viewing that they decide that a lot more content is viable to put up. But if they're not going to attract the viewers, Netflix aren't going to waste the time putting something there when they could put a new Netflix production that'll get millions of views in the first week.
Yeah, of course. But my argument, again, I totally agree with everything you just said. And I said at the very beginning of what I was talking about with the Hall of Lane this week, it's not about Netflix or the WWE specifically. They're doing what's best for them business-wise, and I fully understand that. My issue is when people say they're doing what's best for business, as you just have, and explained it perfectly, you get idiots that go, this isn't about money for the WWE. This isn't about money for them.
No, it's not about money for the WWE.
Netflix are holding them off. Netflix are causing a problem because they haven't got enough room and just nonsense like that. It's come on, mate. Give your head a wobble. Have you seen how vast Netflix is?
Yeah, they've certainly got the server space to put the stuff on.
Of course they have.
But the issue is they take up that server space with some early 90s WCW that maybe 24 people watch. Or they could put on a recent film which 100,000 people might watch. That's the difference. It's Netflix aren't looking at this as we can screw the wrestling fans or we hold all the power. They're looking at what of this content we put on that people are going to watch and we can make money off. That's all it is. It's all about dollars and cents with Netflix.
But again, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. It's not the Netflix or WWE saying we haven't got room. It's them saying that's not going to make us money. That's the big what comes down to it. Because the responses I saw online, were literally saying they haven't got room. The WWE and Netflix wouldn't upset the fans like this, and it's not about upsetting the fans. It's about what people are going to watch and subscribe to. And like you just said, WCW is not going to get the vast numbers that maybe a movie would, and that's the common sense that other people are putting forward. Virtually the word for word what you've said, a more sensible, thought out, decent answer. And these idiots that are my Hall of Fame entrants won't accept the common sense answer. That's my point.
No, yeah, and it's a very, very good point. But the issue is, you're talking about wrestling fans. How many times have wrestling fans took something that's happened in wrestling or on social media and then ran with it as a massive story? Wrestling fans are very unique in that they know it's not real, but part of them believes that it is real. So, yeah, let them dickhead wrestling fans believe what they want.
Absolute mugs, mate.
They're idiots.
Absolute mugs. Shall we dive in quickly through the chats then, so we can keep up to date with that before we get into this new idea that you have for a segment, which I'm really excited about?
Well, let's just get through the chat first. You might change your mind when you get to what I've got to say. Matt says, Chris is very well, just horrendously busy working and trying to mock me being a Liverpool fan at every opportunity. It's well deserved, isn't it? But you could be a Man United fan.
I mean, Liverpool, it looked like they're going to win the league. They're playing some wonderful football. And Salah, my word, at the age he's at, you'd think he'd be on a decline. But the guy's incredible, isn't he? He's absolutely glorious to watch.
Yeah. And yet United are being dragged into a relegation battle.
Yeah. And it's the worst United team in years, and one of Liverpool's best. Yeah. And they still couldn't beat us last weekend. Just throwing that out there. Carry on.
Next, King Pig Banner says, my CWF splatter is better. So for a little bit of context, there was some chat in the CWF or the SJP media WhatsApp where we were trying to name a group of CWF, kind of like how you get a murder of crows or a parliament of owls, and some pretty interesting names come up. I think one of mine was the best one, a noncerat of CWF.
Not happening.
But Matt wants it to be an embarrassment.
How can I put that on a t-shirt, Mags? A noncerat. How can I put that on a t-shirt?
I didn't realise it was for merchandise purposes. I was just...
Mate, always got to think of the money.
Yeah, well, that's why you're the brains and I'm the beauty of the show.
That £1.45 I get per shirt we sold has got to be worth it.
Exactly. King Pigsman says, Netflix back catalogue is great so far. I've just watched every Rumble in Order. Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I used to complain about the WWF network, WWE network layout and how it was sometimes difficult. Finding stuff on Netflix, it can be a fucking pain in the ass. I would have loved if they'd have put a WWE tab so you could find all the content underneath that. But I'm sure they'll tweak the system because whenever you search for, say, like I said today, I was searching for In Your House, and you got the 3 or 4 In Your Houses that was up. And then a lot of stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with it, like House MD. Who the fuck what wrestling fan is looking for House MD? But yeah, hopefully they'll be able to sort it out.
Very quickly on that. Whenever I've searched for something, like I looked on Netflix earlier on for the link I'm going to use later on out of the match we're in. You've got your list, haven't you, where you can put stuff in there to watch later on. And even WWE based, I'm just clicking my list at the moment, and hopefully I can build it up myself. Maybe, I don't know.
make SARS Wrestling Network on there.
Yeah.
Then we've got Connor says Netflix is the worldwide distributor of Raw and exclusive PLE or pay-per-view holder because it's changed from Peacock in the States. Yeah, thanks for that. We all know it. Connor,
Yeah, we're talking about the other
preaching
stuff.
to the converted. Kingpin Banner says, so tonight it's a 2.5 hours of ad-free Raw on Netflix for international viewers. That's awesome.
Mm.
And for me, I think what is even better, because if you remember back to the network, Raw and SmackDown were usually about 4 to 6 weeks behind.
Yeah, it's a long way, wasn't it?
Watch the updated one. Whereas now, you don't want to stay up till ridiculous o'clock. You can literally get a replay instantly after the show's finished. So those will be ready for people to watch on Tuesday morning, Tuesday after work or whatever. So that is a really good idea from Netflix. And for someone like me who was kind of lapsed in watching the weekly show, it might tempt me back into being able to like skip through it and getting some more of the current content that way.
Especially this time of year, going into the Rumble and Mania.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Rumble in February, which just makes me feel sick. Yeah. Benny says, it's a shame some of the older stuff is on there. I'm hoping it will come with time. Well, the positive thing is that a lot of the wrestling media and wrestling news outlets are saying that Netflix have got plans to upload quite a lot of the content, but it's not ever going to be as substantial as the network was. So unfortunately, that's just how it is. We've been spoiled, and Netflix giveth and Netflix taketh away. Next, we've got Andy from Bang Bang Podcast, and he says, how long has Sa been reading this list out? Mate, he started reading it before we even started recording. He was just on a mad rant.
It was like Jericho with his list of 1,004 holds, and they go for that, come back, and he's still going.
Netflix, you just made that list. And he also says he's just got in the bath. So King Pig Brothers is giving him a bit of a bath. Stop playing with your rubber ducky. That's why he went bold, because you kept playing with that rubber ducky. And also, we'll get on to that in a little bit, playing with your own rubber ducky. Morty says he still believes the network, in a sense, will be relaunched in the next 5 years. It won't be called the WWE Network, but I think they'll have a streaming service called The Vault or something like that. Have all the old arcade stuff. And then, wow, as I said it, as I sent it, Mag said exactly what I was typing. Yeah, I mean, with owning UFC and WWE, it's just a massive library of content for TKO, and I can't see a world where they won't eventually come together as one big kind of streaming service. It just absolutely makes sense. Benny says some of the older stuff may have licensing issues, such as music did on the network stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And if those licenses aren't transferable as well, then there maybe there could be a dozen reasons why some content won't get played on Netflix. It is what it is, unfortunately. Andy says surely they could get rid of Peaky Blinders, and if you got rid of Peaky Blinders, I think half of Britain would unsubscribe from Netflix and replace it with every episode of Saturday Night.
Saturday night.
Matt says, United should have won it yesterday. Maguire should have won it for your lot.
And Xerxes was offside, though, wasn't he? So it wouldn't have counted.
Yeah. Benny says, type WWE Mags and click on the WWE connection. I mean, I might look like I'm a 2 pennies short of a pound, but I get the search function. I just would like it to be, because I'm not someone who will sit there and type in. I'll see the images and I'll swipe and I'll click on something to watch, not type in the box, I want to watch this specific thing. So I like tabs. Tabs are my favorite. And then again, I get shot down. There is a WWE. Yes, I get it. But I would like a WWE tab. Thank you. And he says it's the first time I've paid to watch wrestling on TV in ages. And then Benny, trying to help. God, you are like Bret, so bitter. I didn't want to be Bret because he's mid, especially for you, Dan Griffin. Bret Hart is mid.
I'm with us tonight. I haven't seen him.
No, he's not. He's not rocked up, which is not like him. I'm sure he'll
Upsetting,
have
letdown.
an excuse. Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, that's a shout.
Indeed. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us as always. See, what do you want to talk about?
Well, like I haven't just been talking already. So for a sign I mentioned a few months ago now that we're going to kind of like scroll back on the Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame instead of having it every week, kind of like have it every now and again, and then mix it up with a different topics and things to talk about. So I went on a little bit of a deep dive. I wanted to talk about some of the things that are funny or scary, worrying about wrestling, and the first thing that comes to my mind when I thought about that was wrestling road stories. Well, that's never out the back of my mind. Wrestling nonsense, but I thought you get the best stories from wrestling road stories. I think the most interesting things that have happened, and I know we've covered some before on this show, but there's so many of these wrestling road stories out there that I think it could be a regular segment. So I've asked video extraordinaire here, Sar, maybe if he can knock up a little intro video. But thinking instead of doing Hogan is a liar, which I don't really want to promote that task part as any more than I have to, thought I could replace it with wrestling road stories. But this week's one, strap in, folks, because this is a fucking doozy. So let's go back to 1990s WCW. Raven.
Hey!
Yep. I mean, you won't be able to catch this on the network, so on Netflix, so that's ruined. But Raven had his flock, and one of the most prominent members of his flock was the wonky-eyed psycho himself, Perry Saturn. Now, back in those days, WCW recorded in Universal Studios, which was in Florida, and they would record blocks of television, which meant that the wrestlers would be in Florida for a few weeks, maybe months at a time. And some of them would stay in a town called Kissimmee or Kissimmee, however it's pronounced. And there wasn't that much there to do. And wrestlers being wrestlers, what do they like to do after wrestling? They like to get pissed up. They like to get off their trolley on illegal substances. And they like to do a bit of the old how's your father. Now, Perry Saturn and Raven shared a hotel room. And both of them wanted to get a little bit nasty in the pasty. So they got a couple of hookers in. Now,
rugby players.
Yeah, I mean, they could have looked like rugby players for all I know, but with probably bigger titties and holes like a Grand Canyon. But they got a couple of prostitutes in, and wrestlers and ring rats and prostitutes go together like peas and carrots. But I think Perry Saturn and Raven may have been a little bit bored of the usual in out. They wanted to kind of spice it up a little bit. So Perry Saturn went to a local Walmart and bought himself a slip and slide. Now, for some Brits who don't know what a slip and slide is, it's essentially a long piece of tarpaulin that you cover in water and sometimes washing up liquid, and you run at it and slide down, and you have a jolly good time across the lawn or across the drive, and you run back round and you do it all over again. Now you're thinking, what is two wrestlers and two prostitutes going to do in a hotel room with a slip and slide? Well, firstly, you're asking the wrong questions, because that hotel room was not being used. It was the hotel corridor for that floor. And they rolled out this slip and slide. But there was an issue with it. It wasn't slippery, and they couldn't do any sliding. So Perry Saturn and Raven decided to do a little bit of amateur plumbing. They unhooked the sink and connected a hose pipe so they could have a running flow of water all up and down this slip and slide.
I thought this was going somewhere else for a moment. I'm so glad they're using water.
Hold your horses. It gets
God.
worse. So Raven was infamous for something that he took in his baggage to every wrestling show. He took a strap-on dildo. No idea why, but this strap-on dildo does make it into a couple of road stories. Now, Perry Saturn, he was excited for this. He took all his clothes off. So imagine a wonky-eyed, naked Perry Saturn. He took the strap-on dildo, attached it to the top of his head, and he got one of the ladies of the night to sit at the other end of the slip and slide, legs akimbo, and he was going to essentially try and penetrate her with the dildo. So he led on his back. Raven and him took a run up and tried to push him down the slip and slide to essentially knob the prostitute, but they couldn't get enough power to be able to get Perry Saturn all the way down the slip and slide. So Perry, being a genius, thought, we need some jet propulsion up in this bitch. So he finds a fire extinguisher, thinking he could do the old brainiac method of spraying the fire extinguisher, which will propel him towards the prostitute. The only problem is security had multiple complaints about the floor being flooded. All the other rooms were getting soaking wet. So they rocked up and were not impressed with the slip and slide. So Perry, in an act of desperation, sprays the hose pipe, thinking sprays the fire extinguisher, thinking he can get one final attack on this prostitute in. Unfortunately, he sprayed it straight in Raven's face. And a little bit of science comes in here, but the way that a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher works is it takes all of the oxygen out of the situation to put a fire out. Now, when Raven got sprayed in the face with this fire extinguisher, it took all the oxygen out of his lungs. So, half-naked Raven gasping for breath on the floor, and a fully naked Perry Saturn with a dildo strapped on his head tried to make a quick getaway from the security guards. Didn't get very far. They were kicked out of the hotel, and all the rest of the WCW team who were in that hotel were kicked out as well.
Oh, my word.
That's today's road story. Perry Saturn and Raven getting a little bit kinky in the stinker with a couple of prostitutes.
Dear me. Dear me. Okay. Well, I enjoyed that, Mags. So I look forward to more. I think that'll stay. I mean, that's a good shape.
Yeah.
And, I don't know about maybe pulling it out at 8:30 of the evening.
I
might need to look at that.
But there's no getting around the fact that was weird.
It was odd. That was a strange evening, to say the least. Dear me. Sharon enjoyed the comment "nasty in the pasty," which made me laugh lots as well. I enjoyed that. That was funny.
That's how you do a ram for your opening. Nasty in the pasty.
There you go. I'll bear that in mind and try and work it in next week. I won't. I'll forget by the end of the show. Dear me. We've got a couple more comments there, Mags, that we can quickly scan through. And I suppose it's our non-wrestling topic then, isn't it?
No. I've got something else.
Okay.
So let's go back to see. So Matt says, Mags, nobody wants to be Bret Hart, but someone has to look at the lads for the free count. Oh. And Andy says, you want the moon on the stick, Mags. I mean, yeah, I do, and I deserve it. So, absolutely. Benny says, at least Sai has the heart of a champion.
Oh, that's clever. That's clever, because our next episode we're recording of The Waiting Room is entitled Heart of a Champion, and Sam Beckett leaps into a wrestler. He leaps into a wrestler, and Terry Funk's in it as well.
Oh, that ruined it then.
Shut up.
Sharon says ruined.
Ruined?
Did he even say it like that? I don't think I did.
I don't know, maybe.
Benny says, because nobody can watch any of the old stuff anymore. You can make anything up. Like Goldberg was the best technical wrestler ever. I heard today that he's going to be back before the Royal Rumble to set up his retirement match. That'll be fun, won't it?
Yes. No, not really.
Matt then says, Chris was packed up, kissing me. I don't kissing me, however you say it. He's right next to Disney. That's why they go there. Yeah, but I don't think a mid-30s wrestler is interested in getting some Mickey Mouse earrings and going on a log flume. So maybe that's why they got the hookers in. Matt then says, a different kind of water sports there, sir. Yeah, imagine.
That's where I thought we were going.
Imagine being a lady of the night and having Perry Saturn barreling towards you with a strap-on dildo on his big bald head. It's fucking weird. Wrestlers are really weird human beings, are they? Benny Mac says, why did Kevin Nash cross the road? He didn't. He'd already torn his quad off stepping off the curb. Oh, that's very mean. Very mean to poor Kevin Nash. I mean, he's never done anything wrong to anybody. That's
really?
True. I mean, he did book himself as world champion, and he did book for Bill Goldberg to lose, but it is what it is. King Pig Banner says, rumor of Brock being back to piss on someone else. That's
a slip and slide down the entranceway on Raw.
Exactly. That'd be worse than Perry Saturn coming towards you with a dildo. Brock Lesnar coming towards you with his cock out, ready to piss on you. Anyway, but I'm 40 and I wrestle legit. I'm at training in the morning, and that's why I go to Florida. Don't you be getting any hookers in them corridors, Matt. I know what you're like.
No slip and slide action. Yeah, we've heard about this. We've heard about it. Chris has been a calming influence on you. You should be very grateful for it.
Yeah. So I've got something else yet before we get to the non-wrestling topic. It's something we haven't had for a long, long while.
Chicken News with Mags, only on Chain Wrestling.
Chicken news. It's been a while, yeah.
Well, there's one chicken news and one chicken adjacent news. We'll go with the chicken news first, and it's not good. As you know, we've had some snow. I don't know if you've had snow in Gloucester over the last couple of days, but we've had a lot of snow up here in the north. We've had 6 inches easily.
Very small amount we've had here, yeah.
Oh, we're due more tonight, and then by the end of next week we're getting some Arctic winds. So it's going to be pretty grim up north as usual. But the snow was so thick that it actually collapsed the chickens' run. So my chickens have a coop, which is a converted shed, and then attached to the shed is like a metal essentially cage with chicken wire holding them in, mainly to protect from predators and things like that. But the weight of the snow on the roof of the chicken run collapsed it down to where the support bar was actually touching the floor. So dealing with that at early hours in the morning was great fun.
I bet.
Especially with 6 inches of snow surrounding it. So it's actually been propped up with a metal pole, which means I'll have to buy a new cage, about 300 quid. So that's fun. That'll have to be done pretty soon. But in other news, and this is good news, as many of you will know, I recently added some ducks to my gang, my team of birds. 3 girl ducks and a boy duck. And this past week, the girl ducks have finally started laying. So I've been getting not only chicken eggs, but I've also got lots of duck eggs now. So yeah, eggy surprise in the Mags household.
Do you eat duck eggs? Can you eat duck eggs?
Of course, you can eat duck eggs.
Yeah. Are they nice?
Yeah, they're just like a chicken's egg, except a little bit more delicate.
Okay. I wonder if I've ever had duck eggs. I don't know. I don't think so.
They're usually a lot more expensive than normal eggs, but eggs are
Oh, I
expensive
won't have
nowadays
them, no.
anyway. No.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that about the accident. Did everyone make it, chicken-wise?
Oh yeah, they're not daft. When something like a bit worrying happens, they just run back into the coop.
Okay, good. I'm
and
glad.
then just leave old Muggins to fix it. So, but yeah, everything's fine. It was literally just the middle of the cage had collapsed under the weight of the snow.
Okay. Oh well, I'm glad
It is
everyone's
what it
okay
is.
though. It don't matter if you get cold and wet. Sod that. As long as the chickens are
Oh
alright.
no, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll only get COVID again, but never mind. But the chickens are
You
absolutely
haven't
fine.
stopped coughing in 2 fucking years. It's going to make no difference to you.
Yeah, exactly. I might as well just do a Perry Saturn and rock out there, bollocks out, and just stay permanently ill.
Slide in the snow.
with a dildo on. I wonder if Mrs. Maggs has got a strap on dildo. I'll have to ask her.
I'm not getting involved in that at all. Anyway, shall we dive into our non-wrestling topic, mate?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Non-wrestling topic time.
Good God Almighty, there will be no wrestling talk here. Business is about to pick up on chain wrestling. Side Lord Mags, please cut it out.
Are you sitting comfortably?
There we go. So
That
then,
was the chicken after it saw me fixing its roof.
Look what I got. I got a. If you make that out, I got a Kiss beer.
Wow. Nerd alert.
Oh yeah, totally. I got a couple of AC/DC ones as well from my wife and my eldest daughter Anya for Christmas. So yeah, lovely. I'm having them this evening whilst I chat to you, wonderful people.
Aren't you all lucky?
Indeed, indeed, indeed. I'm celebrating us being back, mate, of course. And part of us being back is, yeah, indeed. Part of us being back is, of course, looking at our non-wrestling topic for this week and a random week in October, because that's when we first asked the question. This week, or October's non-wrestling topic was, what do you wish you were better at? Whether it's a sport, a hobby, an instrument, timekeeping, anything at all, what do you just wish you were better at? And we had a few replies from October and quite a few replies this week as well, Max, didn't we?
Yeah. Which makes me worried and also angry that those people who replied now didn't fucking reply in October. You lightweights, you fair weather fans.
I will read them out. They're all on X on this occasion, Maxie. There's nothing via Facebook or WhatsApp. You'll be glad to know. They're all on X or Twitter at @chain_wrestling. Make sure you're following us there. And I can see quite a few of you are watching at the moment on the SJP World Media X account on Twitter. So make sure you're following at SJP World Media and at @chain_wrestling to keep up with the show every Monday night and the podcast that comes out later in the week. We will begin then, because I will read them out in the order they arrived into us. This is going to be carnage, because there's no way I've got this in the right order.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. We begin. I can see already on the screen that this is not right. We begin with Ben at Largely Speaking on Twitter. And he says he wishes he was better at self-confidence. My general podcast character is all of facade.
That's what Perry Saturn and Raven were doing in that hotel room.
My general podcast character fucks hard, he says here. Oh, you've got quite a bit of self-confidence if he's putting that out there.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, I'm exactly the same. I feel like I'm exactly the same. I am a dickhead on this podcast, whereas in real life, I just hate people and just try and avoid them. So
that does come across.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all kind of project like the person who we want to be, I suppose, or we do, as the old wrestling adage, we turn the dial all the way up to 11. So I would say you are more confident than you realize, Ben. The fact that you put yourself out there on a podcast every week, that shows that you definitely have some sort of self-confidence.
Exactly. Ben and I have been discussing a project he's potentially working on for SJP World Media as a solo podcast project as well. I'm not going to give away any more details than that. So that shows
and that's the bravest thing to do.
Yeah. Oh,
having a solo podcast is
Mm.
the ultimate bravery in podcasting.
Indeed. And Nitro Nights wouldn't have carried on after Scottish Danny went on his little hiatus if it wasn't how brilliant Ben was. So
Yeah, exactly.
Don't put yourself down, my friend. You're fantastic.
I do like that Bang Bang Steve replied by saying, "My character is toned down."
Yeah, that's
and
a
he's
worry.
also got the badge of a cunt.
Yes, he has indeed. Glenn Abbott at GA Wrestle Nut on Twitter. He says, "I always wished I'd been better at wrestling. Learned enough basics to be pulled through a match, but just wish I'd been better at it." So
That's because you didn't practice as a kid, giving wrestling moves to your brothers or sisters on your bed and then, or in the park or on the street and injuring them quite viciously. So you should have started young, jumping off roofs and onto mattresses.
Strangers.
Well,
be
they usually fight back.
Just randomly spearing someone in the co-op, for example, stuff like that. That's how people get good at wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, sneaking out behind the freezers in Iceland and just RKOing someone for a display of Pringles or something like that. You know, that's the way it's done. MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. He says, Magsy, you ain't gonna like this. He says, disc golf. Mason finished second in the Junior State Disc Golf Championships yesterday. But this is back in October, not yesterday. He is only going to get better. I'm going to decline with age. Continue to be competitive for a good few more years yet. I managed it again, Mags, he says, meaning getting a mention of disc golf on the show.
Graham, grow up, first of all. You're throwing a fucking frisbee into a bucket. We've already been through this. And if you didn't want Mason to be better than you, don't have kids. That's one thing I've learned. If you don't have kids, they will never be able to be better than you at anything. It's a lesson for life. But I'm actually glad that he's doing well at it, just to show how embarrassing you are for trying to be as good as your very younger child.
At Jimmy Evans for real on Twitter. He says, quite simply, straight to the point as Jimmy does, playing guitar.
I mean, yeah, spot on. And porn, because he does love a bit of porn, does our Jimmy?
He does like a bit of porn, does Jimmy? Yeah, it does pop up quite often on our feed. I mean, also though, he backs what he likes, Magsy, because he regularly votes in some sort of porn awards on Twitter. And he quite openly states that I voted for this particular individual in this category. So fair play. Yeah. He nails his colours to the mask, and I respect Jimmy for that.
Exactly. He don't mess about, don't Jimmy? He likes to play guitar and have a wank. Simple as that.
Not at the same time, though. Hopefully.
Well, that would be a talent. That's what you should practice, Jimmy. Next time you reply, you need to be practicing wank guitaring.
I imagine that anything like that will not get picked up by MTV. That won't get shown live.
Kerrang might have a do it, you know?
Sorry?
Kerrang might pick it up.
Kerrang, yeah. Steve-O at Elite FPL _Steve-O on Twitter. He says, and this is an odd comment for me, really, from someone who runs a pretty successful FPL YouTube channel and so on. Steve-O wishes he was better at FPL.
I mean, we run a very unsuccessful wrestling network, and we're absolutely dog shit at wrestling. So,
yeah, this is true.
We can totally sympathise with him.
Indeed. Steve-O continues, I'm legitimately bored playing it. Any decisions I make backfire, and it's tiresome, to be honest. Yeah, well, I can appreciate that, because that's me and Liv talk about this At least once every other week, because we quite often forget to do our transfers some weeks. And we joke quite often who's fucked up the most this week. And Liv would have took somebody out of her team who's just scored 2 goals on the Saturday. I would have took somebody out who's just beaten that by scoring a hat-trick. And it's just a competition between who fucks up the most at the moment between me and Liv, really.
A race to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Better at my approach with women, Steve-O says, although would actually require speaking to them.
I mean, that's the start, Steve-O, unfortunately. You have to make that break and actually talk to them. Unless you go the Jimmy Evans route and just vote for him. And
yeah, that's true. Is it more difficult than that? I mean, like, me and Sharon were talking about this the other week. I'll say the other week. It might have been months ago. I don't know. If we split up, if we were single, we've been together now 16 years. The world has changed so much in that just over a decade and a half. I used to go into a pub or whatever, have a couple of drinks, and then just start talking to people, and that's how I would meet people, and then meet ladies, etc., etc. You don't do that now. You go online and tick boxes and swipe left or swipe right or some shit. Is it easier now or more difficult now? Because the access, I suppose, would be easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think like the access would be easier, but it's the social interaction. You have to have that confidence to be able to talk to someone. I mean, you can easily match with somebody on Tinder or Bumble or whatever these apps are called, but eventually you do have to come face to face with people, and if you haven't built up that confidence in being social, as we had to do when you get 100 knockbacks for every one potential pull, then you're just going to be sat there staring at your phone and not talking. I mean, I would not like to be in the dating game in this generation. It was much better when you could get pissed up and stumble on with someone, and then you stay with them forever, which is always fun.
You lucky lady, Sharon. Steve-O continues. Definitely wish I was better at discipline to stop eating rubbish food. Today, Sunday, he's put in brackets, I've had Krispy Kreme donuts and 6 bags of crisps, which is disgraceful, to be honest. I'm okay during work days, but days off, I struggle really badly eating rubbish.
I mean, days on, I struggle badly eating rubbish.
Steve looks fantastic, though, doesn't he? You look at the guy; he's proper put together.
Oh yeah, he's got muscles where people shouldn't have muscles. So if he can do it, then why can't we? Instead of being two tubby wasters, we should be built like a brick shit house like Steve-O, and then we can eat donuts and crisps.
I think that ship sailed for me, mate. I'm 44 soon. That's gone. Also, I haven't got the discipline in the slightest. I'd say Steve-O has quite. He's doing himself an injustice there potentially, because he's doing it the majority of the week, and then on his days off he struggles. Fair play for doing it during the week, because I don't even do that. So yeah,
exactly. So on days and off days, they all blend into one for us tubbies.
Exactly. Exactly. Steve-O also says, I wish I was better at not creating content. Now, this one's interesting to me, Magsy. I openly admit I have an addiction to it. Thankfully, it's not a harmful addiction, which is fine. But yeah, not creating content, because he creates a great deal of content. Obviously, he has his FPL stuff, but the Total Steve-O podcast, he's always releasing, even if it's just sound bites or shorter episodes or whatever.
And his shorts on YouTube, content,
his commitment to the content he puts out, I think, is incredible.
Yeah, and as someone who was very prolific with content a few years ago, you do have to be careful that you find that balance, because it takes over everything, and it leads to severe mental health problems. You get absolutely obsessed with it. So just bear that in mind, Steve-O, that your mental health definitely does come first.
Indeed, as is always the case. Steve-O says, yeah, thankfully it's not harmful, although my porn watching has decreased a lot, gone from every day to once every 2 weeks. I wish I was better at not watching full stop. Okay, well, I mean, it's still progress, isn't it? It's still progress, Magsy.
listen on later in the comments, and we may have a helpful solution for that. Well, not us, but another member of the CWF may be able to help him with this. So
they're coming
we'll
next, I believe. That's a poor choice of words, isn't it? Fuck me. I didn't mean to say that then.
Brilliant.
No, Steve L continues. I wish I was better at pushing myself more. I know I have to have it in me to go further, whether it's job progression, life, etc. But like most, I get so lackadaisical with circumstances. I'm just stagnant. Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? You get those days where you just don't fancy it, you don't want to go to work, or when you're at work, you can't be arsed and stuff like that. And it is those who have that extra oomph that kind of make it, I suppose, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, the way I kind of deal with that is I almost get obsessive about things that I need to do, to the point where I might stop doing something now to go and do something that I've got planned to do later on. If you understand what I mean, it doesn't always work, and it's not 100% perfect. But just reminding yourself that these things need doing, and instead of setting yourself a goal of getting them all done, set yourself a goal of doing one at once, and it kind of like breaks down the amount that you have to do, and it makes it a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, there we go. Up next, we have Connor Knows Soccer at Connor Knows Footy, good friend of the show, of course. He says, for starters, I wish I was a better content creator. I try to mainly focus on Columbus Crew related content on YouTube because there's a lot of podcasts about the crew out there. I'm lost a bit here, sorry. Because there's a lot of podcasts about the crew out there, not compared to when I first started. It's hard to promote my work and be seen. Yeah, it can be frustrating, can it, Magsy, when you put lots of work into things and you put lots of effort in and so on, and then the views don't come, which is why I always think it's quite important to not really be too arsed. If the views are there, great. If they're not, I mean, I do everything I do for fun.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I was just going to reiterate that point. I made a choice pretty early in creating content that I wouldn't give a shit about the amounts of views or listens, because you can get so obsessed with the numbers, and the content is there for you to enjoy, and if other people enjoy it as well, that's amazing. If you can get to the point where you're making a career from it, all the power to you. But first and foremost, do things that you enjoy, because if you don't, people notice. People notice when you're phoning it in, or people notice when you're only doing things for views. Keep plugging at it, and don't focus on them numbers. And if it's going to be a massive success, it'll happen. If it's not, you've had a good time doing it.
Yeah, there you go, mate. Absolutely spot on, Magsy. Absolutely spot on. Here, Connor also says, to go into the content creating space, I would like to improve my script writing a lot of the time. I get a video idea in my head, research the topic, and then I sit down to write the script, he says. And I'll get about 100 to 150 words written, and it's like the light in my brain goes out and I go blank. Now, for me personally, I think this comes down to what people are good at and what they feel comfortable doing. I could not sit and write a script and then sit and record the same thing. That would dull my mind. I would struggle so much with that. Even when I've tried to do solo podcasts, I've had maybe a couple of bullet points and just spoke, and then I've cut out the bits I don't like and so on. If you're not enjoying writing the script side of things, maybe don't. Maybe change that up a little bit. Maybe that'll help with the actual recording side of things. I don't know. Everyone's different, Magsy, aren't they?
Yeah, this is it. There's no right or wrong way to go about this. Sometimes when I come to a Hall of Fame or a Hall of Fame, or one of the kind of like topics where I'm speaking a lot, sometimes I'll write out paragraphs and paragraphs of text. Sometimes I'll do a few bullet points. It all depends on how how I am at that moment. If I'm in the mood to get everything I want to say down, then the words just flow on the keyboard. If I'm not in that mood, I make bullet points and just spitball it from there. But pretty much all of the time, I'll only use that as essentially a guide. And if I need to kind of refresh where I'm up to, I look back at it. But a lot of what I say is just off the top of the head with a few reminders from a text file on the screen. So it's whichever way you found successful, that's the way to do it. And if you're not finding writing the script out, there's other ways to do it. And like I said, you do bullet points, or you go off the top of your head and freeform it, and then cut and paste and edit as you need to. But yeah, I think the thing that is the most important is practice. Just practice doing it before you get ready to record. Sit in front of your camera and just talk and get that confidence to be able to do it. And you'll get there, Connor. You're an incredibly talented young lad, and I'm sure that eventually you'll hit that spark that you need, and you'll be absolutely fine.
Indeed. Again, everyone gets better with practice, don't they? Of course.
Yeah.
And I listen back to early podcasts I've done. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination I'm excellent or amazing at the moment. Of course not. But I listen back to early episodes of podcasts I did, and my God, it's cringe. I absolutely despise it. And then you can hear an era when I've overcared and everything is edited to the point where it's not natural, and it's unlistenable to me. Other people said it was fine, but to me, I couldn't handle it. To me, I didn't like it at all. And it was just, not... It's finding your feet and finding what works for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find now it's a lot easier. For example, I've got a new show that's been running now. Well, we've got best part of 20 episodes recorded. About 10 of them are out already, called The Wrestling News Time Machine. It comes out every Friday on this network. And it's a different twist for me because Morty, who I'm recording the podcast with, gives a date that we land in our Wrestling News Time Machine. And then he talks the wrestling headlines from that week, where no matter what they're from. I've got no real idea what he's going to bring up. So I've got no research whatsoever. So I'm just bouncing off him. And I'm really enjoying doing that. Whereas if you told me, say, even as recent as 12 months ago, I'd be doing something like that and finding it enjoyable, I'd have been a nervous wreck because I'd have felt underprepared. So it's weird how time can change you, practice can change you, and people drop into, literally by accident sometimes, drop into what is their method, Mags, isn't it, I suppose? You're frozen a bit there, Magsy. You okay? You still with us? There you are. You're right.
It wasn't me. It was you. You froze.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I apologise if that was the case. You froze to me, but that's always the way, isn't it? We always think it's the other. Okay. Connor also says here, and this is quite somebody opening up here.
I've been looking forward to this.
Everyone needs to bear in mind this is a young man bearing his soul to us in the CWF. So, on a more personal level, Connor says, I've made it my New Year's resolution to quit watching adult content or the P word. And he's put in brackets, not sure if you can say it on a podcast.
You can say pasta.
Thank you very much.
The show. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can. Pasta's fine. No, we appreciate you censoring yourself there, Connor. Don't worry about that. We'll always take it out if it's any concern, but obviously we know that P word, you mean porn, obviously. This has been a device that has had control over me for quite a while. Because I used it to fill a void in my heart and to fill a void those loneliness. I've told a few people I trust about my problem and gotten their full support. I've relapsed, he says here in speech marks, a few times recently and started a no wank program that's self-made starting today, and in brackets Sunday, where it gradually moves away from that content. And Steve-O mentioned about struggles with that sort of thing, and the problem is you've got this idealism, and I worry about children today. And I don't want to call Connor a child. That sounds horrible because he's not. He's an adult. He's an adult, but a very young adult. Mm-hmm. I've got kids, between the age of 15 and 21. Their idea of what relationships and, shall we say, what they're being shown then, and kids in general, not all people of a certain age bracket. Pornography is so readily available now. It's not like when we were young, Magsy, and you find a dirty magazine around the back of your dad's allotment and be like, "Fucking hell, this is great." It's not like that anymore. It's just on your fingertips all the time. Access to the internet, etc., 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 and it paints a completely different picture to what real life and real relationships are like.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be difficult for young people, I feel. So the fact that Connor has opened up about that, I think, deserves the utmost respect. And God bless you, Connor. Well done first. First of all, acknowledging and thinking you've got a problem, and secondly, opening up about it. Fantastic stuff. Same with Steve-O talking about his similar situation. And God bless you. And I hope everything works out with what you're planning. I will say that I struggle very, very difficult to not find the term a no wank program not amusing. I think that's quite a funny, just out of context. That's a brilliant term. I love it. A no wank program. I hope there's a file somewhere on your computer that there's a spreadsheet devising that for you. But the actual gist of your statements there, again,
the gist,
the CWF again. It's you named yourselves, the Chain Wrestling Family, so it's lush that you can open up in that way, knowing that we often mock about various things as well. So God bless you, Connor.
Yeah, and to follow on with what Sar said, generations this day and how we are in the world and the technology that we've got at our fingers, it is a blessing, but in some cases it is such a curse. As Sar mentioned, it can pornography, the access to pornography can massively influence how young people look at relationships, and not just young people, anyone really. They get a very warped sense of what the dynamic between sexual partners is, and it's so harmful to people's mental health and their relationships. So the fact that you understand that you have a problem and that you've got a support network to help you with that, that's absolutely brilliant. But the darker side of this is that it's not even just porn that corrupts people. It's mainstream media, it's magazines, it's television, and it shows that young people have to look a certain way or act a certain way or be who they aren't to fit into a mold that would make you acceptable for a relationship, and it just shouldn't be like that. I mean, you see these kids and teen magazines where children are being hypersexualized. I mean, kids wearing makeup and getting like touched up, not touched up sexually, but digitally touched up in magazines to make them look like they're perfect, getting their tummy tucked and things like that, and it's just not realistic. And it really can give young people and well, like I said, anybody a complex that they don't fit and they're not beautiful and they have to be a certain way to be accepted. And to follow on another point of SARS, calling it a no wank program, mate, that's, you set yourself up. We were all in to absolutely rinse you for that, but I'm really, really proud of you that you've realised that this is a problem, and you are taking steps to alleviate that problem. What I would say is, don't be too, and the wordplay is not intentional, but don't be too hard on yourself if you do relapse, because whilst you're looking at porn and masturbation as an issue, there are times when masturbation is used to calm you and relax you. So it's not always a bad thing in moderation, pretty much like anything in the world. It's fine in moderation, but yeah, good on you for realizing you've got a problem and taking steps to it, and good on your support group for being there for you. Just come up with a better name, because I would not want to be in a gang called the No Wank Program, unfortunately.
No, don't come up with a better name. Leave that. That's like that. I guarantee there's a 70s band, a 70s punk band that didn't make it called that somewhere. You know, and I can make merch with that on.
Well, then, if you're going to call it the No Wank Program, go all in and get stickers printed with your name. Hi, my name is Connor, and I'm in the No Wank Program.
We can make a whole. No, I'm going to leave it alone. As Connor should. No, oh, sorry. No. I can't help it. You know. Anyway, we'll move on. Connor, God bless you, my friend.
Yeah.
Dan Griffin on Twitter at DanGriffin21 on Twitter. He says, "I wish I'd taken up an instrument. Well, you got the wank guitar now. You could join in with Jimmy."
Can you imagine plucking strings with your bell end?
No. But some of those Spanish guitars, mate, with the fin. No.
Banjo. Imagine playing the banjo.
Ding 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 ding. When I'm cleaning windows, Dan says he showed a bit of aptitude on the keyboard at school, but never bothered as I didn't want to do music GCSE. Could take it up now, but I don't think I've got the patience or the attention span these days, which are two things I could also improve on. Yeah, I think playing an instrument is something that a lot of people would potentially wish they'd spent more time on as they're a kid. I mean, our next comment here from Glenn Abbott again, our good friend at GA WrestleNet, he also says, I would love to have been better at playing an instrument. Tried keyboards, guitar, bass guitar, drums, trumpet, and violin, and he sucked at all of them. Well, trumpet you need to blow, to be fair. That might be an issue there. But yeah, it's a similar sort of vibe, isn't it, with the instruments, Magsy?
Yeah. I think my issue, and I feel pretty similar to Dan and Glenn here, my issue was I wasn't good like pretty quickly, so I gave it up because I was shit.
Right. Yeah.
So I've had guitars at school. I played piano and keyboard and recorder. I was actually really good on recorder, to be fair. I could do the London's Burning and everything.
Yeah. I imagine it's just the comfort of the shape, isn't it? Towards your mouth. It's like it's muscle memory, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it? But rude. Listen, don't mock Connor's No Wank program now. After all those card words you said, you can't take it back.
No, I was talking about you, my friend, but you carry on.
A recorder. Sexualizing a recorder. See, you're the problem with the world today. You sexualize the recorder.
Yeah. I am the problem with the world today. Not a problem. I am the problem.
Yeah. But yeah, like back to the point. I think the issue for me and probably for these two is that they got bored because they couldn't see that improvement. But you're not competing with anyone though. That's the thing. If you enjoy strumming a guitar or blowing your trumpet, who cares if you're making beautiful music? You're having fun. So if you enjoy it, do it.
If you know what you've got now as well, that you never had when I was younger, trying to learn how to play guitar and so on. YouTube.
Yeah.
Honestly, the self-taught videos, and I'll come back to my son actually. You know, he's one of the main reasons I drink. He's probably the main reason I've gone grey. He's probably the biggest frustration in my whole life. But here, I'm going to sing that little shite's praises. I love him to bits, but God, he's frustrated. He went through what you're describing, Maxie. That he picked up a guitar, and because he wasn't Jimi Hendrix in 20 minutes, obviously I'm exaggerating, he tried a bit more than that, but because he wasn't Jimi Hendrix in 20 minutes, he gave up. And me and his mum and everyone else just thought, well, that's that then. But then off his own back, I don't know the time frame, Sharon will probably be able to tell me more in the chat, off his own back, a year, maybe 18 months, maybe 2 years later, he picked up that guitar again and just started making noise with it.
Yeah.
And then he learned a couple of chords. And then he was on YouTube learning bits and bobs. And now, my God, can this lad play a guitar? It's unbelievable. And I'm talking really intricate, heavy metal pieces, you know, Iron Maiden stuff and faster and heavier things with much more complex time changes. And I got the utmost respect for my son for being able to do that, because that's not something I could do. And first of all, I thought that he knocked on the head and given up. So yeah, it's again, the beauty of having YouTube And also then, fair play to my lad Liam, going back when he was already 40 and he couldn't do it,
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube is amazing and it's replaced Google for me. When you used to have an issue and you Google how to sort this issue or whatever, I go on YouTube and I get a video showing me exactly how to sort it out. For example, yesterday we had to top the screen wash in the car, and it's a relatively new car, so I couldn't figure out where the notch was to lift up the bonnet.
And with a new car, you don't want to mess around and fuck it up either, do you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I knew there was a knob at the side of the driver's seat, pulled that, but then there's always an extra lock, and I didn't want to scratch anything or pull on the bonnet too much and dent it and things like that. So I got my phone out whilst I was there, how to open my car's bonnet. Showed me straight away, done. Easy peasy. It's YouTube is the new Google. It's as simple as that.
It's great stuff, isn't it? Awesome stuff. I wish it was around. I'd be like Jimi Hendrix now if I had YouTube back then. I can knock a few chords out, and but that's about it, mate. I listen to what my dad can do. Rick Boogs. No, he's far too well built.
Well, you have the passion and energy of Steve-O, and then the music of Hendrix, and there you've got Rick Boogs.
Potentially, yeah, I guess. I'm probably more like, if we're talking guitar players with a grey beard and the massive belly, more like somebody out of Tenacious D. ZZ Top. My beard's not that long. Maybe I'll keep growing it. We have a few more, Magsy, before we actually start talking a bit of wrestling tonight. We have, again, this is something that we wish that we were better at, from the Morty and Fitch podcast, a brilliant show that people need to go and listen to all the time. They're just venturing out into YouTube content as well.
Excited for
They are
that.
bloody idiots, and I love them to bits. They're so funny. At Morty_Fitch_pod show says they wish they were better at lovemaking. But because that's come from the podcast account, we don't know if that's who that's from, Morty or Fitch, or both of them together. Perhaps they're not satisfying each other, Mags.
Yeah, I think it's very much that. But practice makes perfect.
Well, we know that, Mags, don't we, on our secret meetups?
No, rude. Not into that. No, I mean, when you just
shoot that down straight away.
Sometimes you're just blessed, and you know how to get nasty in the pasta, and sometimes you've got to practice at it.
That's gonna be a t-shirt.
You'll get there, Fitch. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Indeed. Morty himself responds at MortyJR5. He says he was better at having pardon me, I hiccups then. Willpower that was
a beer burp, people.
That wasn't a burp. Willpower would have made life easier. Learning languages, I wish I'd been better at, and wish I was better at being confident in the company of strangers. Also better at saying no. What are strangers asking you to do that you need to be more confident to say no? What's going on with these meetups?
I think it links into the lovemaking.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arsehole like a yawning hippo.
Just Morty bent down, pinned on the bonnet of his car in a Greg's car park.
It's that bad. He just shits through the eye of a needle now. He bends over and it just leaks down his leg.
I like the way that with Mort, he said something here that is genuinely nice, and he's opening up a little bit, and we're just talking about him getting bummed in a bakery, effectively.
Morty knows that we think the absolute world of him. He's absolutely brilliant, is Morty. And this kind of links back to the Ben comment, where I think he's more confident than he actually believes. Because when we've recorded with him, he's hilarious. He's great fun.
Yes.
So just be that person. I mean, and again, it's always turned up to 11, and you're putting on a character. But if that's the character of Morty, it's bloody good. It's fun. So
I've met Morty on a social level a couple of times as well. Had a beer, watched wrestling with him, and so on. and he's just such a fantastic, lovely guy. And I know he's had struggles, as many of us have. I'm not going to dive into it here; it's not my business. But I know he's had struggles again, as many of us have. I know he's had doubts with regards to his own content creation and the struggles again in real life and so on. And my heart breaks every time I hear it, because if anyone deserves to have confidence in their own ability and in their own personality and know how much they are loved and respected and so on in our community, not just as a content creator that we know via this world that we're in, but also as a friend to so many of us. I wish it was Morty who realised that, because he really does deserve it. The guy is absolute gold. He's a fantastic fella, and it's similar to you, Maxie. And Dan Griffin and all the others as well. They're friends now. They're not people I do a podcast with.
Yeah,
and that's a thing for me. Morty's and again, Wrestling News Time Machine. You talk about how professional and great he is doing podcasts. Honestly, I literally just rock up and he presses record. You know how that feels from this show, obviously. But Morty's done everything. So don't sell yourself short, my friend. If you've got concerns, there are concerns no one else can see. If you've got doubts over your own abilities, you got the doubts that nobody else can justify with any rhyme or reason because of what we see ourselves. Outside looking in, more, you're a diamond and we love you.
You are.
But there we go. We come to Pigs Bladders at Pigs Bladders on Twitter, and I love this guy. I'm so happy he's back talking to us. He had a bit of a rough ride, a few ups and downs family-wise. He's disappeared, but he's back with us, Mags. Our fantastic artwork is back, and a glorious individual, a member of the CWF, is joining us again, which is what it's all about, mate, isn't it?
That's why we went away, because Pigs Bladders weren't around. None of the rest of you, we don't really care about. Pigs Bladders is the man. So we went away until he was ready to come back, and that's how it goes.
So we may get a couple of 100 views on here. We may get X amount of listens on the podcast.
All about that one.
It's that one. That counts. Exactly. At Pigs Bladders on Twitter, he says, "For me, I suppose I've got to be more motivated to do the things I actually want rather than put them off till..." And there's no second bit to that, I don't think, is there?
No.
Till when?
Till it gets to a point where you have to do them, or something is ruined because of it. It's the old adage: a stitch in time saves nine. Like if you did one stitch now, you wouldn't have to do 9 later when the hole gets bigger, kind of thing. And we're all like that. How many times do you, sir, put stuff off until the last minute, and then you absolutely panic and fret about it? It's
I've heard that saying before.
And you didn't know what it meant, did you? You didn't know what it meant.
I've literally just today, at the age of 40, a couple of weeks away from 44, now know what that means. It's clever, that saying, isn't it?
It's fucking Biscoff all over again, isn't it? You're a full-grown human child, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I saw biscuits the other day, Mags. I went and bought some biscuits, right?
Notice I'm knocking him for being a child, and then he instantly goes into, do you know what? I'm excited because I saw some biscuits.
Me and the wife, we've got this thing. We went through this thing where we were watching films that we draw out of a hat.
Yeah.
That kind of fell to the wayside because we started watching box sets of TV shows again. So we're having porn. Yeah, we started watching porn together. Yeah. Sharon's tastes are filth. I'll tell you that.
She needs to join the No Wank program. I'm telling you.
We've just started The Walking Dead now. No spoilers, please, anyone in the chat. I know we're way behind, but we're into season 3 of The Walking Dead now. And the other day I went to the shop to get some biscuits to sit and have a cup of tea, eat some biscuits and watch the show with the missus. I didn't buy them, but I'm intrigued. They have Biscoff cream. So they look like custard creams, but they got Biscoff flavoured cream inside.
Okay.
That's exciting,
isn't it? Blowing your mind away.
Because I find with Biscoff, it can be a little bit dry.
Okay, that's why you dip them in your brew.
Well, we're not having this conversation again. I don't dip. No.
We're not having that conversation what I've had over the Christmas period? Do you know wafer tubes?
Babes. Sorry, go on.
Do you know that wafer tubes where they've got a filling? Biscoff filled wafer tubes.
Oh. Do you know what? That sounds right, that.
They are good. Very, very good.
Interesting.
I've even got some Biscoff flavoured Yorkshire tea.
I ain't sure about that, mate. You don't fuck about with tea.
Oh, it's good. It's good, mate.
No,
It's
I ain't buying that.
It's like drinking a brew that you have dipped loads and loads of Biscoff in,
Well, there you go then.
but you haven't eaten loads of Biscoff. So it's the sensation that you've got a belly full of Biscoff, but you haven't put them calories on.
That sounds fucking what a waste of time. Why would you just have a cup of tea? If you want a cup of tea, just have a cup of tea. Why do you want a flavour tea? Liv's got this mint tea downstairs and this red tea.
What's jam on toast flavoured tea.
What?
Yeah, jam and toast flavoured tea.
You're a fucking wronger.
It's Yorkshire tea as well.
What's wrong with them? I had so much respect for them because they make good tea, and now they're fucking about with shit like that.
I don't know. That one is not as nice. It's just very sweet.
They need to give their head a wobble. Andy at Bang Bang Podcast, he says, I wish I was better at darts. My uncles were both top amateurs. My cousin and his son have both played professionally. All I inherited was the drinking skills. Yeah, see, that was what I was going to mention, Magsy, for mine.
What, being good at darts? I have never been able to figure out how to aim a dart. When you see people like hitting 20 or the bull, I have no idea how that happens. How do you throw it just at the right power to hit that? It's just
it's practice, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, but I just couldn't get it. It's one of those things that I just couldn't work out. Which leads me to heaping some praise on young Luke Littler, the youngest ever world champion at darts, 17 years old. That's absolutely amazing.
Ridiculous.
And I will never profess to be the world's biggest darts fan, but watching that kid do what he does with those darts is fucking unreal. The amount of records that are dropping to him. I mean, the next youngest person to win the world title was 24, and he's shaved 7 years off that record. Is an absolute phenomenon. And I just hope that the British press don't do what they normally do when Brit gets some sports fame and absolutely cut him down. Let that kid absolutely love his life, because it's brilliant. It's brilliant seeing him just enjoying playing darts. It's amazing.
Yeah, without a doubt. Obviously, we're talking about mine now, I suppose, very briefly. My main one was playing darts. I was going to bring up after.
Was that the last comment?
No, we've got Matt Willis still to go. So,
he's not.
Should we do Matt Willis first, and then he literally messaged at 8 minutes before we went live, so he just snuck it in there in time, mate. Just snuck it in time.
Let's get through that.
Okay, Matt Willis says at the Matt Attack UK, what do I wish I was better at? Making predictions. They've not gone well traditionally. There are some ropey ones with the volley, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the fun of predictions, I suppose. You don't know what's going to happen, and you're just having a guess.
Yeah, I wish I was better at making predictions, because then by proxy I'd be better at gambling, and I'd have more money.
I wish I was better at gambling.
Yeah,
that is
there we go. That's one of mine. Sorted. Drinking challenges, Matt says. A shot for every Liverpool goal on the last 2 volley live shows were interesting. Yeah, one of them was a 6-3.
Oh, fucking hell. It'd have been wasted.
He seemed a little bit worse for wear by the end of the recording. It was a solo recording as well. I tuned in as much as I could. But he was, knocking these things back, and it was an interesting viewing, put it that way.
Jesus.
And Matt also says he wishes he was better at being a friend. Last few years, I've not been checking in as much with people I love. Well, on that note, I mean, I can't speak for that myself. You check in with me on a regular basis, Matt. But on that note, if that's how you feel, at least you're acknowledging it and going forward. So it's a positive thing in a way.
And I will absolutely echo that. I think Matt's been a brilliant friend. I mean, when I went potty for a few weeks, Matt was one of the people who was checking on me on a very regular basis, and still checks in with me on a regular basis now. So I don't think you should put yourself down on that, Matt. life is so hectic, and the fact that you take that little bit of time to make sure people are all right. Yeah, don't put yourself down on that.
Indeed. Maxie, have you got any? Do you want to give us yours? Or?
I mean, I'm perfect, well, pretty much perfect. So there's not anything really that I wish I were better at. I wish I were a bit more modest. I wish I were a little bit more modest. Yeah. No, I wish I was a lot less sarcastic and witty.
But you wouldn't be you if you weren't sarcastic.
I know, but a little bit. Just tone it down a little bit. I wish sometimes I would put my brain in gear before the words come out of my mouth, because how I've not been cancelled is just beyond me for some of the horrific things that I've said.
I'd get dragged down with you if that happened as well. So it's a concern.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm going down, I'm taking everyone with me. But other than that, I don't want to sound big-headed, but I'm happy with how I am. So if I had things that change, it would change who I am now. I mean, even it's like the butterfly effect. The smallest change can make a massive difference. So no, I think I'm pretty much spot on. I'm happy with my place in life right now. So yeah, I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. I just make myself more like me.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
Again, reserved. That's the problem with me. I hold stuff back too much.
Indeed. I wish, again, like I said, I wish I was better at darts. I love the sport. I play a little bit myself, not for a long time, to be fair. My girlfriend, my eldest daughter came around with her boyfriend the other day, and I dug out some darts for him because he's just getting into it. And the stuff I've got's caked in dust. It's not been used for so long, which is a shame. But yeah, I like playing darts. I just wish I was better at it. And you mentioned like aiming and getting stuff. It is the most frustrating game I've ever played, because I've never played golf. Apparently, that's even worse. But I would hit treble 20. I will hit treble 20, and then with my third dart, I'll hit 9, and I have no idea what's fucking different. No idea whatsoever, and it's just so annoying. But there we go. I wish that was the case. I wish I was a little bit better sometimes at doing this. I play stuff back sometimes, and I get frustrated with hearing how my own voice sounds, or certain sounds my mouth makes, or quite often I can hear, I've mentioned it before on the podcast, there's a certain noise I make at times that I wish I could get rid of, because it drives me batty listening back. My only saving grace is no one else has noticed it. So that's why I never tell people what it is, because once they've noticed it, they'll slaughter me and wind me up. So I'm leaving that one alone. But
don't tell me. Don't tell me.
No, I will not. I definitely will not. So that's something that frustrates me a little bit there. Yeah, and also I wish sometimes I was just not as mental as I am. I wish I was a bit better at not being crazy and as highly strung as I can be at times. Like, things escalate in my head and drive me a bit batty, and Sharon has to talk me off a ledge occasionally, or just leave me be for an hour to calm down, and then I'm all right again. But I wish if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be me. I appreciate that. But I wish I wasn't that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, I get that. I mean, I've been in very similar positions, as you well know. And there's nothing worse than that. Arguing with yourself, and you can't explain why you're angry, or you can't explain why you're frustrated. And I think we've both been incredibly lucky that we have got the partners that we have who will absolutely go to bat and defend ourselves, even to ourselves sometimes. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, my wife's the most. It's weird because if you knew her, you wouldn't. It's weird because if you knew her, you wouldn't think so. But she is the most tolerant and patient person going with me. It's maybe not so much with other aspects of the real world, but with me, I get a pass quite a bit, and it means a great deal. So I say that, and she's put this comment in the chat now that completely blows this out of the water. She wishes that she was better at choosing men. But obviously she's making reference to her first husband, who's a fucking twat, not her second husband, who's glorious.
I don't know. The writing's on the wall there, sir.
Just to clear that up, I'm her second husband, in case anyone didn't get that.
He's actually the first husband. He just lives upstairs in the bedroom, just won't leave. Sharon's got a full laugh downstairs. Very happily married to her second husband, and just won't go away.
I'm just in the spare room. Occasionally, I mean, our new fella's lovely.
That's
he makes
why
me
you never
dinner
see
and
him
stuff.
together in the same room, folks.
Yeah, that's it. That's what happens, mate. That's what happens. Shall we dive through the chat before we talk a little bit of wrestling, Mags, and then I suppose chuck our links out there and get the fuck out of here tonight.
Yeah. Let's quickly roll through this chat. Connor said this. Sharon then said that. Then Connor said this. That's the quickest way to do it. No, Connor says dating is hard from his experience. Talking to most men, not all. They're all looking for a quick hookup and don't want any sort of commitment. Yeah, it's the way of the world today. It's everything's at fast pace and everything's just like a throwaway society. It's annoying. I pity and I have so much sympathy for people trying to make it in a relationship in this day and age. Me and Sar both realise how blessed we've been that we don't have to do that anymore. It's amazing. Sharon, we listen and we don't judge. See, that should be the mantra of the No Wank program. Connor says there's been 5 or 6 states that require age verification to access adult sites, but there's always ways you can get around it. A certain app owned by a certain billionaire makes that accessible. Is that Twitter? Because I went weeks without really going on Twitter, only coming on Twitter for this show. And my timeline was full of genuine, full-length, hardcore pornography. It was horrific. Yeah. I was like, have I clicked on SARS internet history? Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, apparently that's a thing now. Yeah. So I avoided it like the plague.
Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, wife number 2.
Yeah, just dropping off a beer for me. How lovely she is. Look at that. An AC/DC Golden Ale, this one.
King Pig Ladder says he's just keeping quiet. He'll offend somebody probably otherwise. That's the beauty of this group, though, of this family that we've created, that we can laugh and take the piss, but at the end of the day, we're there to support each other. And yeah, I just love that there's that balance where we can take the piss, but anyone comes for our people, and we're all there to defend.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Connor says it's a huge problem that society seems like it wants to avoid as much as possible. And thanks for understanding, guys. It means a lot. Anytime. I mean, we were ready to just take the piss, but we know that it was an issue for you, and yeah, we want to be there, and maybe not there when you're relapsing, but we want to be there when you need that support. King Pigzana says, yes, they really do need to get hold of it with both hands. Dan says he could always do the Bill Bailey thing, the thing Bill Bailey suggested, grow his beard really long and weave it into his pubes and play it like a harp. I mean, you could.
Why?
It'd be a sight for sore eyes, let's say.
It would hurt though as well, because surely, I mean, the strings of a harp are under so much tension.
Yeah, well, this is it. And let's move on. Dan says, sorry for the late involvement, by the way. Got company at home and just managed to tune in for a minute, but what a minute. Oh, you've missed a lot, sir. You have missed a lot. Absolutely need to go back and listen. Yeah. Sharon says, don't know what you just said. I might know as I was doing something for the Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
You, Sharon, the fact is you will know it because Sar doesn't know it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll say it again, bloody hell.
It's going out naked and fixing a chicken coop like you suggested. It's made me ill again.
Yeah, I've got the video though, so thanks for that.
You have to zoom in very close to see who it were, though.
Not on the face.
Says, cheers, guys. And Sharon says, love you more, even if you do hate my filth talk. Sharon says the Biscoff creams are rank. Don't bother getting them. I like the way she tries them, but doesn't tell you or share with you.
She might have had them before I discovered that I might like Biscoff when I thought it was coffee.
And then here we go. Sharon says wish she was better at
choosing men. Maxie coughing again. After I said those lovely things about her as well, eh? You're muted, my friend.
And I was still muted them after coughing, but never mind. King Pig Banner says, sorry, Mags, didn't mean to share all that porn with you. And it was the DMs that got more worrying. That was very, very kinky, especially when you put my face on the taker and your face on the giver. King Pig Banner. That was worrying.
Imagine what you could do with some of that Photoshop wizardry, eh? My word.
Exactly.
My word. Thank you again, everybody, for getting involved in the non-wrestling topic. You never let us down. It's fantastic. We've been away again for a little while. And whenever we have these little breaks, Magsy, which isn't hugely often compared to how many episodes we put out, but whenever we do have these little breaks and we come back, there's always that slight concern, is anyone going to be there to watch? Is anyone going to get involved in the non-wrestling topic? Because this show is, we say it every week, this show is your show. It doesn't work without you. You choose the wrestling, you answer the wrestling topic, everything about it. And obviously you feel the chat as well. And there's always that slight concern, but you never let us down. So thank you so much to everyone who got involved in the non-wrestling topic. Thank you so much to everyone who voted in this poll that we put up in October. We're about to get to the winning match and discuss it now. And again, thank you so much for everyone who's watching right now and is in the chat also. We are, honestly, I hate the term, but it stands to reason. We are truly blessed, I think, Magsy, with the people that we associate with. They're great people.
We've been very, very lucky.
Indeed. And there's the crazy cat behind me. Settle down. Stop it. Should we talk a bit of wrestling?
Yes.
Let's get ready to rumble!
So then, I won the last poll, which is a long time ago.
Did you really? Okay.
I think so.
I mean, I can't remember that far back, so
When
I'm sure I put this match
up.
up.
Did you really? No, you didn't, because I looked at the spreadsheet that I filled out back in October, you lying bastard. And you were the one who messaged me and said, this is the match we're doing. So
I forgot. I genuinely forgot all about this match. And I
had to go back and look.
Just start again and say, shall we go back from the beginning? And you were like, no, we've got to watch this match I picked because I won. Fuck you.
Indeed. We are looking at two of the all-time greats wrestling for the WWF Heavyweight Championship, but not on a pay-per-view, not even on a TV show. In a house show in Japan from the May of 1994. We have Bret the Hitman Hart taking on a Macho Man Randy Savage. I mean, two huge names, Magsy, in a house show match that goes 20-odd minutes, but it's filmed on a camcorder, which is the way back then when people used to record house shows, isn't it?
It's filmed on a potato. Let's not beat around the bush. This looks like the graphics from the Super Nintendo Super WrestleMania game. It's
like that, like my T-shirt. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
that's an 8-bit Shawn Michaels with the graphics for the Super Nintendo game system.
No, Super Nintendo was 16-bit, love.
Okay, well, whatever.
But anyway, it looks like graphics from back in the day. It was just I just can't get over that this video, obviously recorded off someone's camcorder, had only had 15,000 views. Only 15,000 people have watched this video. It's mental. It's the epitome of a hidden gem, a genuine hidden gem.
Is it that good?
No, I mean, it's a match that only 15,000 people have watched. That's what the point I'm getting at. I mean, you've got two of the biggest stars in wrestling history, two Hall of Famers, two people who you would mention on a Mount Rushmore, and only 15,000 people have watched this match. It's just absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Something that is a little frustrating, considering that I put this link up. These two obviously meet in WCW and so on, and people have seen that and all that. But in the WWF, very rare, I guess, that because their timelines, how it worked and so on. In October, this was put up because it was footage of them having a whole match that I thought people wouldn't have seen. A little bit more frustrating is that the WWE Vault channel 3 weeks ago put up a match between Savage and Bret Hart from Saturday night's main event that is a lot more clearer and of better quality.
It is what it is. I mean, it was our fault for taking a ridiculous amount of time away. So
This is true. So this is filmed by one individual on a camcorder in the city of Yokohama, Japan, the May of 1994. Randy Savage comes to the ring first after a little bit of a sort of thank you to the Japanese fans from J.J. Dillon. He says Vince McMahon loves you and all this sort of stuff, and it's like not enough to be there though, eh?
well, I mean, with the crimes he's committed, he may not be able to get in the country. To be fair,
Definitely not. No, definitely.
I thought that was a nice little touch by J.J. Dillon. I mean, he mentions the Japanese wrestlers as well, who sometimes the homegrown talent don't genuinely get their flowers, and he says, yeah, we absolutely appreciate them being involved. We love you fans. We'll definitely be back. And then they got a little Japanese announcer translate it for the fans, and I just love Japanese audiences. They're so polite. They almost come across as uninterested in wrestling because that's the culture. You don't shout and you don't cheer and you don't make loads of noise. You're just really polite and you clap when there's been something good. So it almost feels like they're wrestling to a dead audience, but they get enough oohs and ahs and applause in this match that, yeah, you could tell that the Japanese fan really appreciate these two, and you get the odd chants as well. That, and I don't want to be mocking in putting an accent on, but like, let's go Bret, let's go Macho, things like that. But yeah, it's good to see these kind of things as well because it's very rare you see these house shows unless you're there. So to be able to see this, I think it was a little kind of, it's almost like a peek behind the curtain, isn't it? You said, we didn't see much of Bret and Macho Man in terms of wrestling in WWF. So to see it, yeah, it was fresh. It was something that we've never seen before.
And a big deal time-wise, I suppose, with regards to their respective careers, because Bret has, this is May. Bret has not long won his second world title at WrestleMania 10. Yeah. Savage is actually struggling to keep a position on the active roster. McMahon wants him to move into commentary again, and this is what ends up with Savage leaving the company because he wants to be working as a wrestler, but McMahon's not that interested. That's why he ends up walking out and going to WCW. In a similar way, of course, to J.J. Dillon, who sings the praises of the WWF and Vince McMahon here, and then fucks off to WCW and says that he will give Eric Bischoff a piece of paper with everyone's contract and expiry date and the wages they're currently on from his previous role if he wishes to see it. What a snake bastard. Yeah. There we go. Bret comes out to the fantastic Hart Foundation music that he used for the early parts of his solo career. And the match, in general, I think, is pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
I don't think it do anything majorly spectacular.
It shows you that at these house shows, maybe it's a little bit more free flowing. They're not limited to a scripted amount of time, maybe, or they're not told what to do move for move. They're allowed to just go and flow, but they also are allowed to play up to the crowd a little bit more. And the start of this, I think, is really, really clever. We have the handshakes, but then we also have Macho Man being a sneaky little heel and doing sneaky little heel things, but then going back to being the handshakes and showing that almost we're friends, but if I can win by cheating, I'm going to win by cheating. But the first five or so minutes of this match, it's almost like Greco-Roman style wrestling, really kind of catch as catch can, trying to one-up each other in wrestling holds and moves. I thought that was an interesting start for two wrestlers who who are as technically brilliant as Randy and Bret are.
Yeah, we basically start with quite a few tie-ups and quite a few arm drags before when Bret responds to Savage's efforts with the same sort of moves. Before Savage takes control for a little bit, has Bret in an armbar, and then it goes back to Bret being in control, and he's working Savage's arm. And then we hear, because obviously the microphone on the camcorder is right next to our Japanese friend who was filming this and his buddy who has gone to the show with him. We hear them, the one guy sneeze, which made me laugh. And then we hear them both trying to do "Ooh yeah, Macho Man" impressions as they're watching them. This made me chuckle. It was very, very funny. We also get the occasional moment where we can't quite see what's going on. Now, whenever I say that we can't see what's going on, I don't want to paint it in too negative a light. This is somebody recording with a handheld camera at an event. But every now and again, they forget they're recording and they must be watching the show, and their camera starts to slowly drop. The wrestlers get cut off at like the neck height or whatever, don't they?
I felt it was very WCW production style, where sometimes you miss the big spot because you could only see the boots of the wrestlers, but you got a clear view of all the cameramen at the side of the ring. I appreciate they were playing them off to WCW.
Right. Okay, mate. We do get the odd handshake, as you mentioned, Magsy. And we then get another handshake and then a bit of posing to the crowd. And at this point in time, I'm thinking, this goes into the old Hulk Hogan adage of when you work house shows, of you don't need to do much, they're already in the building. Get through it, taking as few bumps as possible.
The Jerry Lawler style of...
There you go, yeah.
Do as little as possible. And if you think you're going too slow, slow down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. We get a Bret takedown, and then he sends Macho Man to the outside. And then Bret holds the ropes open for Savage to come back in. And he does, and we go for the handshake again, because both guys are babyfaces at this point. But then Savage kicks Bret, goes straight to his eyes, and then starts yanking his hair. And this is when the crowd decide who they're going to cheer for and start chanting, "Go, Bret, go." And it's almost like they couldn't... I suppose it comes back to the Japanese culture and how they do things over there. You almost had 2 or 3 different groups of people shouting, "Go, Bret, go," and they couldn't quite sync it up with each other because it almost felt like they weren't used to doing it for me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if you've ever watched a Wrestle Kingdom show or any kind of like pay-per-view on New Japan World, you'll see adverts where they say, don't cheer, don't like shout, because you're ruining the experience for other people. You're only really meant to ooh, ah, and clap. It's a very respectable kind of like mindset, but the wrestling must have appealed to him because there was a few people who did break those rules and started to get a little bit excited, especially at the point where Randy stops with the handshakes and thinks, "I'm going in all heel," and the wrestling then kind of goes up a notch from that kind of Greco-Roman to more classic heel and face style wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. It does slow back down again, though, because Randy applies a headlock, which then slides into a sleeper. Before and Bret's in that for a little while, and it slows it down for a minute or two before Bret starts a comeback, and he hits a sunset flip for a 2 count. But Randy cuts that comeback off with a clothesline. And again, we're getting everything these guys are doing. And the whole duration of the match this applies to for me. Everything these guys are doing is crisp and sharp and looks, and this is most believable for me personally, looks believable. But nothing is particularly spectacular.
And why would it be, though? Why would it be for a house show?
No, that's my point. That's the point. Because we don't see many house show matches, do we? So it's different to what we might have seen if these two faced off at SummerSlam, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
We end up back on the outside, and we get the brilliant double axe handle by Randy Savage from the top rope to the floor.
Crowd, it's like they'd never seen that before because they got very excited
they
for a Randy Savage double axe handle. Properly excited.
It was, and again, I think that move looks so tame now when it's done in the ring. But you got to think back then, a guy Savage's size standing on the top rope and then standing up as tall as he can, and then putting both arms up as tall as he can. It's quite a spectacle. It's quite a sight.
Yeah,
and Bret
then
sells
diving straight to the floor. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And Bret, being the way he is, sells everything so well. I thought this looked fantastic. I know it's 1994 and it's quite a simple move and so on, but for me it looked absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, but that's the wrestling that we grew up with. To see that in a match that you've never seen before, it is exciting, and I can totally understand why the fans loved it.
We then can't see again for a little bit. Again, not long, 90 seconds tops, where the camera sort of drifts away and the wrestlers are carrying on. But it comes back as soon as they realise their error. We're back in the ring, and we get the axe handle off the top rope into the ring this time for a 2 count for Randy Savage. And the guys are then battling towards the one corner, and the camera doesn't move. So we kind of miss what's going on as they drift off screen for a moment. But we hear a big crash into the mat, don't we? Sorry?
Just WCW production. We missed the big spot.
Oh dear. Bret starts his comeback, and again we miss a little bit as the camera wanders, but comes back again. And he hits a back body drop on Randy I'm getting a bit confused by my notes here. I can't read what I've written.
So Randy gets he runs into Bret's boot, and then Bret back drops out of the ring.
And then Bret dives. Bret hits a dive, doesn't he? Yeah.
And that dive looked absolutely spot on. Even in 240p graphics, it looked crystal clear. It was just perfectly done. And again, the crowd so mesmerized by this that they break tradition, and it's like, ooh, wow, and then clapping. So yeah, it's a really crisp looking. I think is it called a pescado? Where you launch yourself over the ropes like that? But
it's a fucking dive, mate. I don't know. I'm not Excalibur. It's this then brings my favourite part of the match is the sharpshooter, because Bret's fantastic. But then my second favourite part of the whole match, because the Japanese fellas watching that we can hear on the microphone are then doing Vince McMahon impressions of Vince McMahon's commentary, when Vince McMahon used to always say unbelievable. They're just doing that, and it just really cracked me up. I thought it was so funny. Magsy coughing again, mate. Yes, indeed. Bret then misses his elbow drop off the middle rope. Savage hits a neckbreaker, which looked vicious as hell. Goes for a body slam, we assume, but we can't quite see it because the camera's slipped again. And he hits his top rope elbow. He hits his finish. But Bret kicks out at 2, which the crowd, they pop with.
They do.
Yeah. Savage goes to the top again, but Bret jumps up and catches Savage in midair with a punch, hits the side Russian leg sweep, goes straight into the sharpshooter and wins, which makes me think they're doing what they're doing, they're wrestling, but how quickly that changed and how quickly the ref rang for the bell, it makes me think they were told, go home now, fellas, we're running out of time.
Yeah. And then after the match, we go back to them being friendly again. I mean, it takes a while and there's a bit of a crowd pausing, but Randy offers the handshake and Bret finally accepts it, and they hug and they are best friends in the end. It was a very quick end. I think when Savage goes for his 2 count off his elbow drop, Earl Hebner does a very quick count. It's like he wants to get out of the building. So obviously then leads into a very out of nowhere sharpshooter. Randy's not in the mood for that long before he tells Earl that he quits. Bell rung, and that's the match over.
Yeah. So there we go. Magsy, final thoughts and out of 10, my friend?
I really enjoyed this match. It was basic, but I can forgive that because it was a house show. It's something that we don't get to see a lot. The kind of like house show from the crowd perspective. I thought it was bloody good. It's not a classic by any stretch of the imagination. These two have had way better matches, but it was entertaining for what it was. A solid 7.5 from me.
Oh, okay, I've got quite a bit lower actually. I've got a 6.
No, well,
I've
you're
got a 6 for this.
sour puss, aren't you?
Fantastic. I've missed you so much. I think a lot of the same as you. It was solid. It was decent. Everything they did was great. There wasn't a moment, as you'd expect from two absolute greats of the game. You know, they put on a performance. I loved the Japanese guys hearing the stuff they were saying in the crowd. That was glorious for me. That was wonderful. But yeah, a good solid match. 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it, mate.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a little bit more than you, I think. But yeah, I'm happy with 7.5.
Fair enough. So then, as is the way, we then link from the match we've just watched, one way or another, to what we'd like to watch next week. I will put forward a link after Magsy has put forward his link first, which is tradition, and then you wonderful people out there can jump on our Twitter X account at Jane_Wrestling and vote in the poll later in the week to decide what we cover next week. Magsy, where would you like to go?
So this is in the period where, as you mentioned earlier, Bret was world champion, just coming off WrestleMania 10. This was kind of almost like the WrestleMania revenge tour that they used to do. And at that WrestleMania, Bret won the title, but he also lost to his brother. And not long after this, Owen Hart goes and does what Bret did the year previously, and that's win the King of the Ring. Now, we've covered Bret's 3 King of the Ring matches in one show, so I think it's only fitting that we do the exact same for Owen Hart and we cover his 3 matches for winning the 1994 King of the Ring.
Interesting. And who are those 3 matches against?
Let me find it. I have lost it. King of the Ring. I had it literally on my screen as well, and now I've lost it. I'll come back to you. Oh no, I've got it. He beats Tatanka. He then faces the 1-2-3 Kid, and then faces Razor Ramon.
Bloody hell! Can you get any more 1994 than that?
Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, Razor Ramon's Tam.
Yeah, and that will be some really good, some good viewing there. And also, I mean, Owen's fantastic. I don't think we've looked at anywhere near enough Owen Hart matches. Always a fan of Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, and there's loads of ways we can link out there as well for the following week. So that's a great shout, Mags. That's a great shout. I am going to go. It'll surprise no one. A little bit further back.
Oh, here we go. To a program I've just got on my DVD of pirated content that no one else can watch. We're going to.
This is the new rule.
Super Brawl 1.
This is the new rule that we've got for the show. I suppose people need to be aware of this as we're putting our links forward. The rule is that because of the network going the way it's gone and certain promotions and video libraries not being available anymore, the rule is, Magsy and I have decided that any link we put forward has to be easily accessible for people voting, because people like to watch along with us. So whether that's YouTube, Dailymotion, whatever. And if it's on YouTube, whatever, we provide the links for you. That's the way we're going to work it. But this is on Netflix, Max. You'll be happy to know. This is on the new WWE Netflix network jobby, I suppose. And I'm going to use Randy Savage as the link because he was in this match. But I'm thinking it's that time of year. It's Royal Rumble season. So I thought, what a great way.
For nearly another month, which is ridiculous.
We're getting there, though, aren't we? We're getting there. You know, we're building up to the Rumble, and I thought, what a great way to restart the show, give it a little bit of a kickstart with a Royal Rumble, so we can have, multiple ways of linking out of it. It's almost like a little bit of a soft reset. So I wanted to go back as early as possible, but then I thought, that first Rumble was a bit wobbly, wasn't it? Only 20 guys in it, and it was, maybe not. So then I thought, Randy Savage, with being the link, he was quite prominent in the 1989 Royal Rumble. So I would like to go and take a look at that, the 1989 Royal Rumble, the first one that featured 30 men. The 89 pay-per-views in WWF were fantastic. WrestleMania 5, SummerSlam 89, and so on. Brilliant stuff. And Hogan doesn't win this. So it's quite interesting with regards to the booking decisions and where they go, considering this is peak Hulkamania time. So that is my link. I would like to go and watch the 1989 Royal Rumble match.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but I think I'd be quite happy either way here, I think.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But I'd prefer it if I won, obviously.
As always. Those are your links for this week's poll. We have Owen Hart's triumph at the King of the Ring tournament in 1994, taking on Tatanka, the 1-2-3 Kid, and Razor Ramon. We'll cover all three matches, as we did with Bret's in 1993. That would be fantastic. I'd love to have a look at that. Or we will look at the whole Royal Rumble 1989 match and talk some proper cheesy 80s stuff there, and what happened to some of the guys. I imagine not many of them are with us anymore. But yeah, lots of options to look at, lots of names and so on. So those are your options. And the poll, as always, will be up later in the week via our Twitter X account at @chain_wrestling there. Make sure you're following, voting, retweeting, and all that great stuff. And if you are following us at @chain_wrestling, you'll also get access to our non-wrestling topic, which comes out a couple of days before we go live. We'll post it out there, and you just answer the question and get involved in the chat on the live show, Mags, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you become the show. You don't
Indeed.
just watch the show, you become the show.
Indeed. There we go. Have you anything else, Magsy? Shall we scan through the chat, actually? We should do that before we depart, shouldn't we?
There's only been a few, because as always, when we get down to reviewing, people like to get their cup of hot chocolate and just chill and listen to two idiots talk about absolute rubbish for half an hour. But we've got good cop, bad cop. I'm going to assume this is Graham, because he's going to try and wind me up now. He says, bad cop moment. Oh crap, we're so busy shoveling snow. Totally forgot about this. Then good cop moment. I have my aerial buttons to enjoy as I head back to the start and listen at times two. Well, I hope you don't mind me mocking you incessantly for being beaten by a child at disc golf. That's what you deserve. King Pig's Banner, listen, I've been kind to you today. I've been said we went on hiatus for you to say bubbly chocolate. Not a good move, sir. Not a good move. And then rubbing it in by saying Hogan's appearing on Raw tonight. Won't that be fun? Yeah, apparently so. This Raw is almost pay-per-view level with the amount of stars that are on it. And if you are staying up to watch Raw, or you're going to watch it on the replay, I hope you enjoy it. It seems that there's a buzz about WWE again, especially with being on Netflix. So I might be coaxed into rewatching Raw on a more regular basis from now on.
There we go. Great stuff, mate. Awesome stuff. Magsy, that's it for our, I suppose, comeback episode. I've had a bloody glorious time. It's always good fun, but this is I had a blast this one. Thanks so much to everyone in the chat, everyone on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else, just everyone involved in CWF. And again, thank you so much to you, Mr. Mags, for joining us as always. Do you want to let anyone know, everybody know, not anyone, everybody know whereabouts they can find your good stuff online?
I shall try. And we have gone quite long here, so we're cutting into airtime. We don't want to get that snip from the pay-per-view masters, so I'm just going to roll through this quick time. Follow me, Podfarmer Mags on TikTok, Podfarmer Mags on X. Follow him over there, SJP World Media, and every other podcast he's got about Doctor Who. That other show with Sam Beckett, whatever that's called, that shower
Waiting Room, Quantum Leap, yeah.
That's coming back. News.
That's coming back.
Wrestling news, there's that. There's actually some good content on the network as well by other people. So definitely go and check that out. Follow that at SJP World Media. Follow it on all your socials. If you've got Tinder, you can swipe right on SJP World Media at any time. Thank you all for being involved. Thank you all for watching. We love the bones off every single last one of you.
Indeed.
Peace out, motherfuckers.
That was great. Oh dear. I'm off now, Magsy, to get some kip and try not to have nightmares about the zombies in The Walking Dead because they freak me out. I'll speak to you next week, my friend.
Well, you just have to wait a second because I've got to find the outro video because they've all moved about on this. Where the fuck is it gone? I don't know. No, that says intro. This is grim. But I will say
fantastic.
That Barry Windham is in the always wanking program.